What's up, homies? What's up, homies? What's up, homies? Welcome to the Knowledgeable Homeowner Podcast. We pick the brains of industry pros to unlock the trade secrets of homeownership. Our mission is simple: to turn everyday people into knowledgeable homeowners. What's up, homies? Welcome back to the Knowledgeable Homeowner Podcast. I'm Sturdy Joe, and today I'm very lucky to have with me Dane Carlson, the owner of Carlson Paint and Paper.
What's up, Paint fam?
What's up, Paint fam? How are you, Dane?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to come out here. There's a lot of hype and excitement out of you to come on, which I think is amazing because I'm always super pumped to come on, but sometimes guests are a little bit more, they don't know what they're getting into, but like you're coming on with a ton of energy, a ton of hype coming in, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah,
it's kind of right up my alley. I've never sat down for an actual podcast with everything kind of official and stuff, so it's a cool experience.
Yeah, we keep it chill though, so it'll be nice and easy. So why don't you take a second, introduce yourself, tell us what you do, your company, your backstory, how we got to today.
All right. Well, my business name is Carlson Paint and Paper. I'm based in Eastern Long Island. And I've been in business since COVID. Prior to that, I was working in the city as a foreman for commercial painting business. So I did a lot of the high-rise, high-end construction from start to finish. It was prior to that, my family is a lot of tradespeople, mostly painters, uncles and stuff like that. So that's where my history goes back to. Working alongside, my brother and my uncles, and my father was a roofer.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so I've been surrounded by the trades my whole life.
Nice. So how'd you land on painting?
That's what my two uncles that I spent the most time with during the summers and stuff did. They were painters. So that was the first job I learned when I had to start making money and saving money to get a vehicle and stuff, and when I was younger and everything, and that was the trade.
Yeah.
And then, I just took it from there. I had other jobs, but always fell back on the trades.
Yeah.
It was always a need.
Yeah, and the painting was there, the opportunities to work were there, you were a kid, you wanted to get after it.
Yep.
So then you just mentioned you were a union painter, or you were just a New York City painter?
Yeah, New York City painter. It was non-union, but we did the same thing,
Yeah, of course, all the same.
High-rise buildings and lifts and all that OSHA certifications.
Yeah, exactly. It's all the same stuff. You're going in the city every day. So you were going into Manhattan every day?
Yeah, commuting Long Island Railroad on that, 440 train every day.
Yeah, I had the 509 out of Brentwood.
Yeah,
I was a high-rise carpenter. So
you try to you go in early, you get out early. So we try to jet by like 3:30 to be out of the city, if we didn't have to do overtime or whatever.
Yeah.
So
we our gig. So I did high-rise concrete, and it was just like the job waited on us to pour the next floor. So like you guys couldn't come in
all the way up.
Yeah, it was crazy. So you guys couldn't come in until we got the next floor done. So it was like it was a crazy grind. So like a lot of the specialty trades guys, they would I'd see them dipping out by 2:30, like they'd work through lunch and they'd be on like a 3:15 train home. And
after that, it's a nightmare.
Yeah,
you're shoulder to shoulder, and
I'm built for a train because I'm compact. So I was like, I would just like cross my legs and squeeze into it, and I would knock.
It's city mode when you have to do that commuting and stuff. You learn how to do the headphones. And
I had my because it was tickets then. You still now it's all on your phone.
The lanyard.
I'd be sleeping and I had my monthly ticket around my neck and so I know the grind, man.
Yep.
So how did you make the transition to working on Long Island?
When COVID happened and they shut down the city, the company that I was working for had some jobs still. Homeowners weren't living in the buildings and stuff like that. So I was able to transition, and then finally I just said, I'm going to do it for myself. I'm sick of working for other people,
Yeah.
And, so it's been going well. Every year is doing better, always adding new things, and it takes a while to get everything going.
Yeah, it takes years to get business to be steady, but it's like...
It's running well now.
Yeah. So residential
Yeah,
paint,
mostly residential.
Mainly? Yeah.
Interior painting and wallpaper.
Wallpaper. So I have questions with the wallpaper. I feel like we can really get into it with the wallpaper.
Yeah.
But so residential jobs now, it's like new construction, small projects, big whatever it coming in.
Well, when I first started, a lot of it was I would go out to the paint stores and have to meet everybody and get your name out there. And I've found that usually you get the smaller jobs when you first start, the younger guy out there, the new guy. You got to make your name, So there's a lot of bedrooms. And then eventually the bigger jobs came, full interiors.
Yeah.
You get the machines and the
specialty stuff.
Yeah,
right?
and you start investing in yourself and the company.
Yeah.
And you see the growth. And then you just keep it going. Then you could really decide where I wanted to do you keep going, or how do you want to scale it?
I know, yeah, that's an interesting thing, because sometimes like getting bigger, you have to just keep getting bigger to keep the guys busy, versus like I'm at this stage right now where it's like I have guys I can sub stuff out to, but it's really just me still. So I'm at a comfortable spot, but I can't maintain that forever. So I'm gonna have to go in one way or the other. But
if you're not growing,
you're shrinking.
You're stagnant. That's not good either.
Yeah, I ventured into I do the home inspections, and I also do energy code work. So if you have been on a new construction job, how they do the blower door test, where they suck all the air out of the house to see how it
button everything up.
Yeah, make it airtight. So that's the kind of work I do. So the past few years I've been going into that. While focusing on that, I kind of have been like shrinking with the home inspections a little bit. So it's like I'm at the point where I'm like, all right, you know what, maybe we got to retool, add a couple more guys, and start to scale.
Focus on that.
Yeah, scale the home inspection. So
you see where your money's at too. After you've been doing something for a while, you're like, this ain't worth it. This is doing a little better for me. Maybe it's local, more closer to your house or something.
Yeah, it is funny. Like I'm starting to get a lot more of a concentration like in this area, which is really nice and comfy.
Not having to commute to the city when that was like, oh man, you save the train ticket every month and the hours.
3 hours about a day. It was like an hour and a half, 2 hours door to door.
On a good day,
it's crazy. Yeah.
Yep. So it definitely pays off. But it also has its own stressors, being a business owner.
Oh, of course.
Entrepreneur.
7 days a week, you're always thinking about it. You have an idea in the middle of the night, something comes to you. Especially now doing the content stuff, I find that's like even more of my free time is spent thinking about it.
Yep. Editing could take up a lot of your time if you really wanted to get crazy with it.
Yeah. So as a painter, obviously you have your own company, you work for yourself, but do you find yourself getting a lot of jobs through a builder or a GC? Like how are most people hiring you?
Lately, a lot of it is referral from previous clients, but
so the homeowner themselves.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, and I found that to be my bread and butter.
Yeah,
is working directly with the homeowner. Everybody has their own style. Who they maybe they do just strictly for general contractors or builders or this and that, and it all has its pros and cons. But I found for myself working with the homeowner, just because I was saying before, the way I scaled my business, I started going get the crew and have a job in Brooklyn and a job in Southampton. And for me, it winds up I make the same amount of money if I take a job that I do myself with the wallpaper. Yeah. And I could just make the same living and not have all that headache.
Yeah, it's funny how sometimes you see that. Like even though the job number is bigger, your nut's bigger because you got to pay people and the stress is crazy. Yep. So it's like if you get efficient, you can kind of squeeze more money out of the
and if I do, like you said, if you need to get these big jobs, there's guys I can call, other reputable businessmen in the area.
Exactly. Have good relationships. Yeah.
So you just you collaborate.
Yeah. So painting, and the reason I asked the GC question is because I feel like, in personal experiences and dealing with clients, I feel like a lot of people don't realize they can hire their own painter. I feel like they kind of assume when they're getting a project done and they hire a GC, I think they kind of assume the paint is included in their bill. And I've had people tell me they found out at the end of the job that their quote was for a prep to paint, or their quote was for one color only, and it's like, I feel, personally, one of the things I see, I go in a lot of very expensive houses, and there's a huge difference in paint quality, in the finish work quality, and I want to shed light on, the ability to hire your own painter, hire a professional, have them come in, so.
Yeah, 100%. I just recently did a job for a return customer where they had their laundry room redone, and he told the contractor, nope, I already have my own painter.
I love that.
And so it's really up to you. You're the homeowner. You're the one spending the money. You should be able to look if it says we only get it paint ready. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, then it is on you. Yeah. But you should have the option to. But I could see what you're saying with the thinking it's a one package deal. Yeah.
Well, I think that there's a lot of assumptions made, and I think people assume it's like, I'm hiring this contractor. They're going to take care of everything. Everything's going to be the best. And then something like paint it's the end of the job. It's pretty much it's closer to one of the last things. The budget's getting a little tight, so
so the best could be like in the general contract. All right, we're going to do a brand new kitchen. Everything's going to be done. Yeah. That means flat paint on the ceiling and eggshell on the walls. Yeah. All right, so but you could also look at it now and go, well, that's not the best. It needs to be, I wanted. So you could always...
Dude, that's what I'm saying. I go in these really expensive, like very tightly built houses, and they're just all... It's not even like just millennial gray, how everyone says that. It's just like primer white. Yeah. So I feel like
it's usually the worst when you see these beautiful homes and the paint job and everything is just like, you're like, oh man, that's... I go a lot of traveling, Airbnbs, or hotels. It's a curse to be a tradesperson when you walk into these places because you're looking, you're like, we're out to dinner. I just made a video the other day. We're all sitting there chilling in Pennsylvania, and I'm looking at the wallpaper job like, oh my God, you know?
Yeah.
So it's true, but these high-end places and the finishes are just like, sometimes you're like, how do they get away with that?
I think it's overlooked. You know, it's like anybody can pick up a paint roller and apply paint to a wall, you know, and it's like, there's a lot of things in life like that, like, you know, something totally different. I could sit down in front of a piano and I can press keys. And my kids who have never heard a, you know, the amazing piano player play, they're like, oh, wow, Dad plays the piano. Dad doesn't play the piano. If they hear somebody play it amazing, they're going to realize, like, oh, no, they're just dinking keys. And I feel like paint is kind of like that because it's, I have an inspector who works with me, Chris, we call him Chimbo, Inspector Chimbo, and he loves finish work, and it's funny because he's the guy who will point out, like, we'll be doing a 7-figure house, and he's like, dude, the paint job in the house sucks.
Yeah, the cabinets and the paint job, you're like, what is this?
Yeah, so it's definitely...
We were just talking about a guy on, when we were on Facebook this morning, I was chatting with a guy, and the same thing, in one of the forums, he said, you know, the other guy said he would do it for half, and a lot of times they'll get the job still because the homeowner has no one to compare it to, or they don't know what's involved, and they just think, all right, your price is cheaper. They don't know maybe the levels that it could be.
Yeah.
So a lot of times they're not informed, which is great about your podcast.
Yeah, of course.
You're shedding light on, you know, bringing knowledge of what you should be getting. And a lot of it, what I find is, my thing is cleanliness with my business. If you read my Google reviews, anything like that, it's neat and clean. Everything should be protected. You know, no paint on anything except for what we're painting.
Yeah.
You know, everything should have plastic and covered and wrapped. And if you do that in somebody's home and show pride that you're taking care of their house, they'll love you.
Yeah.
You know, because just being clean and doing your job and showing, you know, sanding the wall. Oh my God, the last guy didn't do that. Mm-hmm. You know, or just taking care of really goes above and beyond because people don't do it anymore.
So something to expect out of like an excellent painter or somebody, you know, a professional like yourself. You said it, sanding the wall. Now, painting is obviously applying paint to the wall, but what kind of prep goes into, like a company like yours, what kind of prep goes into minting out a wall like that?
Well, that's the difference where your money is really going to go as a homeowner is, you know, anybody, like you said, could come in and just paint. Well, you have to prep the surface, and you should have to, you know, at minimum, lightly sand the walls. You know, if you're using a Festool dustless sander or by hand, people still use the, you know, the palm sander thing, but you should lightly sand any surface before you apply paint to it. That's like the number one thing, you know, and then cleaning. You have to clean stuff before you paint it. You can't just come in and just start painting over baseboard. Even though their house is clean, there's still dust on stuff and everything.
Especially for like a new construction job, there's dust on everything.
Or people's homes, you move the dresser, and of course there's going to be dust behind it. So a lot of our job is actually cleaning. Yeah. Probably painting is like the easiest and probably least part of being a painter.
Yeah, it's all the other stuff that goes into it. It's the quality of the tools, the quality of the paint, the prep work.
Yeah, covering everything. Like, you know, you come into someone's house, you gotta put plastic on the bed, plastic on the dressers, make sure everything, cover the floors. A lot of times you'll spend more time prepping than you will actually physically painting.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, because I feel like people might be a little naive to it because it's like when you don't know what to look for, you don't realize it. And then once you see it, you can't not see it. So like one of the lower quality things that we see is like, you know, they'll have like a nice door and you just see like the brush marks when they use like a glossy paint on the door. They don't paint the whole door or like in little hidden spots. It's not really finished right. Caulking. Do you guys get into caulking, like trim stuff or like, should I expect a good painter to caulk and stuff?
Yeah. A lot of carpenters. So in new construction, maybe a lot of times that you're seeing, that comes up as a question too, like who's responsible for the caulking? You know, when carpenters build stuff, they should, if it's a certain amount of gap or bigger, they fill it. Because it's like, whoops, they got to do something. You know, they should.
It's a carpenter problem.
Yeah. And then, you know, after that, nail holes and caulking is painter responsibilities. That's all painter prep.
Okay.
You know, so when you come into a house and it's fresh, the carpenter's done, there's nail holes, there's caulking. That's all on the painter.
Yeah. So maybe like when getting a bid for paint job it's not just, hey, we're going to come in and make this wall green. What are your steps? Like I can ask the people that are giving me bids for paint, what are your steps going to go in to make this kind of mint?
Everything gets, you know, furniture gets centered, everything gets wrapped, floors get covered, everything gets lightly sanded. Any dings, dents, minor scratches get, you know, spackled, you know, or compound, whatever. Minor damages, cracks in the wall. If you're doing the color change, we always put a primer coat, you know, especially if you're going from blue to white or, You know what I mean?
Something where the new
red,
color
if you want to
cover
cover a
right.
red, or something, you got to prime it twice.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times people don't take that into consideration too.
The whole coat of paint.
Yeah, or if you're going the other way and doing a blue, that's more. But spot primer on top of those bare spots. After you fix everything, you have to sand them, and then you have to either prime that spot. A lot of times you have so many spots, it's easier just to prime the whole wall instead of doing a bunch of little, so things like that, and that should be in your basic prep. And then if it's already finished, then you go around, you check, okay, there's some little caulking, or maybe a lot of times the caulk separates. You ever see it look so you could just see it? So you got to cut the caulking out, re-caulk, and you can't be, maybe all that prep needs to dry too. So it turns into a 2-day job.
Yeah.
So you're like, why does it take, it's 2 days, it's a small bathroom. You know how many calls I get for, it's a small bathroom.
Yeah, right.
Well, small bathroom, there's only so much surface, and once stuff is wet, you have to wait for it to dry, and you can't paint. Yeah, it's paintable in 20 minutes. But.
Yeah. So what you're talking about with taking the time to do it right is a big thing I have with construction is that we want something to look good for 20 years. We're spending so much money on it, and this is something that I really try to get my homeowners to understand is like, if you hire a contractor and they're just not showing up, I get that. But if the guy's there and he's doing work and it's taking time, I don't have a problem with that. It's taking time because the guy gives a crap. Because there's situations that come up where in your day, you could, like something comes up, maybe you didn't expect it, or maybe, like you said, you have to go back and do it again to do it right, where if you just wanted to get it done quicker, you could kind of ignore it. The homeowner probably wouldn't realize right away until like their like stickler finish carpenter friend comes over like 6 months later and is like, oh, this wall looks like shit. But it's like, all right, so sometimes the guy who's getting it done really fast, like, yes, you can be more efficient with your process to make things happen quicker, but sometimes like going fast is doing it not as good.
You're paying twice in the long run. It might hurt you. That's the thing about cutting corners, is that's why it's called cutting corners. It's going to hurt you. And take time to do it right, do it the first way. So a lot of times with the painting, it's such a competitive field where we were just talking. The other guy said he would do it for half. Well, why? Is he actually did he ask you about this? Oh, he didn't mention that. Oh, he didn't. Well, that's where your other half comes into play as a homeowner. And a lot of times I'll share this too, and after doing estimates for 5 years, I've been in this trade my whole life. So 20 years of dealing with people and sales, and being a salesman and stuff. You learn, so basically it just comes down to like, that's a decision you have to make as a homeowner. I could tell you my process and explain to you what I'm going to do, and the other guy, it might come out great. That's what I say to people now. I said, it might come out great. It might work out great for you. Or it might not.
Most likely it's not. You're really going to have to ignore it. Like I do a lot of, in my house, I've done a lot of my own stuff because of necessity. And I've gotten to the point now where I've started hiring people to do projects. And that's like part of the goals I have in life is like, it sounds silly, but it's like, I can't wait to hire Carlson Paint and Paper to mint out a room for me. Because it's like, once you know what you're looking at, like I can go into my kids' bedrooms that I smack together. Steve just painted his future kid's bedroom, and like you spend a lot of time in your kids' bedrooms when you have a little baby, and like it'd be 3 a.m, I'd be looking at the wall and be like, holy crap, I fucking suck at paint. Like this, I did
well,
such
my
a
house
bad
too.
job.
I'm guilty of it too. The cobbler's son goes shoeless, right? You go to my house and the ceiling, I'm like, I never did the brush on that. That's why, but you're like, out of necessity. But to actually have the guy come in, but eventually you know what you're looking at and you want it done right and you have it done right.
I can't wait for that. I can't wait to have a solid painter come in, mint out a room. It just looks so good because that is the truth. Like it sounds funny, but if you're going to spend a ton of money on a really, really nice renovation, I get it. I work with a lot of first-time home buyers. They want to move in, they want to paint and have it done. We could touch on that in a little bit, but it's like I got people who are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, like $300,000, $400,000 renovations are so common. You can't get work done without spending this much money anymore.
It's expensive.
It's crazy how much money for small renovations. Why are we cheaping out on the paint? Because it makes such a big difference.
And it's the last, like you said, it's the last thing. And as a contractor too, you hear that all the time. Well, our budget, and you're like, listen, I don't care about your budget. I'm sorry. Like it is what it is. Like this is you spent all the money, I get it, on the appliances and the floors and the heated everything, but this is what's going to make your home look the best.
Absolutely.
So why would you, and you'll be able to tell, like, when you wipe the wall and you're like, oh, I could see where I wiped it. Like, I should have got the better paint.
So if you do a project, somebody does an extension, and a high quality painter comes in, does a really good job the first time around, it would also make less work for when they want to repaint, like the next color. It would just be coming in and just correcting whatever dinks are on the wall, and now we're putting a new color on, and it's kind of it sets you up for the rest of the time.
Terrible mistakes. Yeah. Because a lot of times you're correcting what the guy previously did. You know?
Yeah, like if I wanted to repaint those rooms, I would spend just as much time as I did the first time prepping to go in and cover up the crap that I did the first time.
So that's where going cheap may hurt you in the long run, because you're going to end up having to pay the guy, but like you said, a lot of times you're newlywed, you don't have the cash, you just want to get in, so it's like, all right, and you can't just move in the way it is.
Yeah, of course, everybody's in a different situation, so you make it happen.
Once the kids get a little older and they're not, running, touching everything,
just destroying the walls.
Then you do a fresh
my kids are painting the walls right now, probably in my house. There's probably a marker against the wall right now.
They're practicing.
Yeah.
And now a word from our sponsor, the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund. This foundation is focused on providing alternative career paths for young people other than just college. If you want to learn more about what they got going on and some updates, you can check them out at lookwhomadeit.org. Now back to the show.
Yeah, so you got to take it as it goes, especially with, another sales thing too is when I used to first get into the business, you try to sell people. Mm-hmm. Now I'm like, if it doesn't need to be done, you could wait and it's not falling apart, whatever, like. It also builds trust with the client too, because they know you're not trying to listen. I'd love to sell you $1 million, but you really don't need it. Like this looks
being genuine. It goes so long. It goes so far, man. Especially on Long Island, there's small communities. I talk about this with a lot of the other guests too. Is like if you just do the right thing, like it might take a little bit more time to get started, but now like you're getting referrals from family and friends of people you did work 100%. For, right? And there's nothing better than that.
This is like fourth down the line. This customer the other day, I've done his mother-in-law's house, this one's house, the daughter's house. That's how it goes.
It's so cool. That's such a cool feeling.
I said to the mother too. I said last time it's cool to see your kids.
Kids growing up.
When you're maybe working with your uncles and you hear your dad say that to a customer, I remember, and it's like I see myself doing it now. Right? I guess I'm getting old.
Yeah, we're getting there, dude. You're seeing the generations.
It's cool. Yeah, it's cool. I like to be, they call me because they know they're gonna get it done, and that's the best customers because they don't ask you. I mean, obviously you gotta tell them the price.
Yeah, of course.
They're not haggling with you.
They know what to expect. They know you're not going to charge $50 to paint a room. They know it's going to be. They know the rate, but they know what they're getting good value out of it.
Yeah, so you're going to do everything if they're,
it's obviously worth the money if they're calling back.
Yeah. 100%.
It's if it wasn't worth the money, they wouldn't be referring you out. They see the difference. That's the truth. I think is when people going back to the piano thing. When you hear somebody play it right, you know the difference. When you see it done right, and I see so many bad paint jobs. That it's like I love when it's done tight. I love when it's done right because also too I'm a hack of a tradesperson. Like I could frame. I can do really rough work. I did a lot of I can break things great. I did a lot of heavy.
I'm good at smashing.
Anything that needs to be destroyed, I'll put my head through it. But one of the reasons I am a good inspector is because I know the right way things are supposed to be done, but as a tradesperson, I just didn't have the patience to do it. So my finish work is, this is the extent of my finish work. I love rough stuff because I don't have to worry about making it pretty.
But it's hard. When you learn one finished thing, to learn another finished thing, it takes, to be like, for me to want to be a plumber now. Yeah. I could do it. It would take me a whole another 10 years.
4 minutes ago, you got into quickly. You did the elevator explanation of your process. And there's so many details that go into it that you said in one sentence where that's literally the point of what we're getting at is that it's not just applying paint to a wall. There's a trade to it, and there's a whole process to it on top of the different materials and the different tools.
And knowing how to navigate the client too.
Yeah.
When you come into a home, like what time to start, do they have kids? The kids are home. Like you have to be assertive sometimes too. Otherwise, the kid, we didn't get to the toys and sorry, then you're cleaning up the toys and stuff so you could paint.
That's crazy.
Guys do it, and they do, and I've done it too. You're like, oh my God, I just got to do it now. And that's a learning thing too, where you get, and you always hear of like the ornery old tradesman that's like sick of everybody's crap because he's dealt with the dumb stuff all the years, and I've learned to. But to see those red flags. Yeah. And you try to, and sometimes you get fooled and you get into a good one, and you're like, damn. Lately I've been hitting the good stride with customers. Nice. Like you come in, everything's moved. Nice. Like, oh my God, wow, you guys are the best.
So a good tip if a homeowner was hiring a painter is the prep a homeowner can do to prep for the paint contractor.
Yeah.
Move your stuff.
You should definitely talk about that. I mean, granted, you have a huge, heavy thing and maybe he's got a couple guys, but yeah, the homeowner should be moving anything. I always say in my things, anything delicate, expensive, or anything you don't want broken.
Yeah, that makes
We'll
sense.
do our utmost to take care of it and cover it and put sliders, but we're not responsible if anything. The leg on the 100-year-old thing snaps because
Yeah, no,
it didn't break until the time I touch it.
yeah, that's how it works. Yeah, of course.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like the light that had never been moved and you touch it and it falls apart. Like,
Yeah.
So you also have to put that in your contracts too. And,
yeah.
You know, it's a learning experience. Being
So
a
move your
contractor.
furniture out of the way, get the delicate
Yep.
stuff out of the way.
Yeah,
All right,
'cause
so
it'll make it easier on the homeowner as well.
yeah, absolutely.
Less time in your home.
Yeah, well, that's important too.
You know,
All right, so
a better job.
if I was hiring a paint contractor to paint one room, you know, what could the turnaround time be on one like a regular room? Like how far out am I put with that room? Like if I wanted you to paint my master bedroom, like how many days am I sleeping on the couch?
2 days.
Okay.
Come in there the first day, depending on. I mean, the standard room you could only get 2 guys in there, 2-3 guys, and
Yeah.
everybody's bumping into each other.
Yeah.
So depending on if you want your trim, maybe you have crown molding, which a lot of the homes in the master bedrooms, primary bedrooms have crown molding, closet doors, and if they need to be primed and 2 coats of paint, and the prep and the caulking and the sanding the walls and fixing cracks, you're definitely looking at 2 days.
Okay. Yeah, a couple days.
But yeah, you do the ceiling, get everything prepped first. The next day is the walls and the trim, and 2-day turnaround.
All right, cool, not bad.
Yep.
All right, on the topic of customer service, you're a painter, so you are, you know all the ins and outs of applying the paint. What about choosing paint colors? Can you guide, a client in paint colors? Do you get involved in that at all? Because I feel like that's that's a tough one, because
Yeah.
like, have you ever had a situation where somebody was like so adamant about this paint color, and like, do you have opinions on paint color, or for you it's just you apply all the paint colors, it doesn't matter?
Yeah, I'll put whatever you want on the wall.
But have you ever had a situation where somebody was like, I really want this, and you're just like, I don't know if you're gonna like that?
Yeah, but I've learned too when and where to open my mouth.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you're like, you don't want to talk yourself out of a job, but also too you're like, oh, we just want to do this big accent wall, and I'm like, you probably should do the whole space if you're
Yeah.
going to do that one wall,
Yeah.
or maybe so you try to, guide people too, but
Yeah.
also it's their home and they're living there,
Yeah.
so they're the ones that have to look at it.
Yeah, so you can
every
give them a
day.
little bit of advice based on
Yeah.
experience, like what's going to look good. Like if they just paint 1 square foot of the ceiling, the white's never going to match, right? Isn't that a big thing? Like the white
Yeah, can you
ceiling
just
color.
touch it up?
There's not one white ceiling paint. There's
I learned that too when I
right?
was younger.
I
in
got
my
like 6
painting
different
things,
color white ceiling paints in
Yeah.
in one room right now.
And
so.
also the same white, even though it's the same brand from a different can, will not match too. Like
Oh.
I did that the other day. I went ceiling touch up. I said I still have the same pan or the same paint in the van. Grab it, and I was like, I should have used, which I had the original.
Yeah.
So even that different, whatever. You never know. So if you have the original, it's always the best to use that. For
So if we're
touch-ups.
touching up a ceiling, it's a safe bet if you want it to look as best as possible to assume let's just paint the whole ceiling.
Yeah.
If we want it to look tight, let's paint the whole ceiling.
Yeah, it's always good. One fresh coat,
Nice.
because then you're not going to have any. What about that?
Yeah.
You know.
So save the can.
Oh, 100%.
Because we can use the paint out of the same can. That'll blend the best.
And then they could also color match if there's maybe sometimes the label gets messed up.
Okay, so they at least have the actual paint that you
it's
can
always
take it to
good
the paint
save
store.
the can.
Okay, so we can
store
go
it
to
in
the
someplace
paint
warm.
store. Okay.
Down.
Not in here.
Yeah, not in the garage where
Using
it's
our
going to have the
breath right
chance
now.
of freezing or
Yeah.
whatever. It's always good in the basement, whatever.
Okay.
And it'll stay good for years. I've
Yeah.
homeowners that keep cans with the lid on tight. I've touched. I'm like, oh wow, 10 years.
Yeah,
Still good.
I got a few of them. Yeah, I got a few of them, but I probably didn't label them, or I probably forgot which room was what. And yeah, because I have we did our house in like 2016, 2017, most of the rooms, and it was like prime millennial gray time. So every room was gray, and it looked good at the time. But we just redid a few rooms, and like I think we did like a light purple one room, and then my bar room is like green. I love green, so it's like a nice light green.
I was glad when the grays went out.
Yeah,
It was just like same thing. It was always gray. I could name a million of them.
Yeah,
just like you
gray
said,
owl or owl gray, whichever.
Yeah,
I think that
Repose
was
gray.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Revere Pewter.
It was a dark time. Yeah, those were the dark times.
It was gray days
Yeah,
then.
it was just depressing. You would open the can and be like, no, more gray.
Another gray.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But we've been recently doing a lot of color drenching. So homeowners that want to stay on trend maybe now, color drenching is when you do the ceiling, walls, and trim all the same color.
Wow.
And it really, bold statement, but it'll really, bring your home into
I feel like
a
I've seen that in
whole
like an
age.
office or like an area with a built-in. Like I feel like I've seen. So you're saying the ceiling the same color
Yeah,
too?
yeah.
Wow.
Like we just recently did a powder room where the color was Salty Dog. It was a Sherwin-Williams color, which is perfect for Long Island.
Hell
right?
yeah.
Or out here.
We know some salty dogs.
And but it was dark blue.
Oh, cool.
Dark blue ceiling, the trim. We did blue wallpaper.
Nice.
Had jellyfish on it.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, it was really good. Yeah.
Wallpaper.
Yeah.
Coming back.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people say that, and it never really went anywhere. They just never had enough installers to, I think, keep up with the demand. There's pockets, and it's definitely trending. 100% it's on the upswing. But especially in Long Island, it's a big thing.
I was very impressed watching, you posted a story of you putting wallpaper on, and I was impressed about how fast you put that stuff on. I was anxious. If I put that on like that, it would be crinkled up and I'd have to throw it out and get more. Like, it was like, you put it on efficiently, you know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a trick of the trade with how you handle the certain materials. And there's installers that I've worked with that are better than me.
Yeah, there's
you
always,
know, and you see them,
like
and you know, you're just like, you're gonna, and they just boom, 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 boom.
Isn't that great?
Like,
that's how I felt watching you do it. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, he's gonna great. And it
Yeah.
went on
And
perfect.
that's one thing when you're doing the installations, you have to get out of your mind. I'm sure with any other materials too, is how much it costs.
Yeah.
Like, obviously you got measure twice, cut once.
Yeah,
you know,
you don't want to just
all
throw
that good
stuff out, but
you don't want to work yourself off.
there's always going to be some waste.
Yeah. Then you get the whoopses, but
Yeah.
you know.
All right, so with wallpaper, bringing it back to a homeowner, you know, if somebody wanted, they bought an old house with old ugly wallpaper, and they wanted to change that room, what are the options they have with that wallpaper in that room?
It really depends on the state that it's in and what the substrate is on that's underneath the wallpaper.
So like the drywall, you're saying, the
If
sheetrock
it's
behind
drywall, maybe it's plaster.
Ooh.
And maybe
What difference does it make if it's drywall or plaster?
it could be plaster tends to be a lot more crumbly.
Okay, so the plaster will get beat up if we're
It could
taking
be, yeah. Maybe they didn't prep. So you never know what you're getting to with wallpaper removal.
Okay.
Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
You don't know what kind of glue they use, if they prepped it properly. So it, you know, a lot of times they put a primer coat on so it doesn't, you know, damage the wall when you try to remove it.
Okay.
But you never know.
Yeah.
So
what is a typical dry wallpaper removal look like? Like what type of tools are we just peeling it off? What does that involve?
So a lot of the first thing is used to be harsh chemicals back in the day, or a steamer, right? You fill up like
I've seen the steamer.
yeah, like they make products that are not eco-friendly.
Okay.
Let's just say, and you add it to the hot water and you spray it on the wall. Maybe you could, you know, scarify.
Did your uncles mess with those things?
Yeah,
right?
and they're still around.
Yeah.
And sometimes
they
you
started
have
to talk
to
a little
use them.
funny after a day of a
Burns
wallpaper.
your eyes, you
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
you got to wear a mask. And it's
So
like,
there used to be more harsher stuff to get the wallpaper
and
off.
there's
So
still not too many options for
Yeah.
removal because you're breaking down glue.
yeah,
You know, so there's the one product that my friend makes that I showed you.
Yeah.
You know, the eco-friendly
to
version.
get the residue of the wallpaper
the
off.
Pretty Boy products. That's my plug for him.
Nice.
But it's eco-friendly. It doesn't hurt your hands. All that good stuff. But anyway, so when you walk in, a lot of it is 2 layers. There's a backing paper and then your design. That's your wallpaper on the front. So that first layer will just peel right off, usually, you know, and then you're left with the actual backing that's glued to the wall.
So the backing is the problem.
Yeah, that's 9 times out of 10. That's what you're dealing with.
Okay.
So I just get a pump sprayer, a gallon, you know, for your garden, as hot of water as you can get.
Okay.
Like hot
Yeah.
water, as hot as you can get it, and then you just add whatever solution you have available. Home Depot sells a wide variety of them, this and that, and then you just spray the wall, soak it, wetter the better. Do like a good section, you know, 10-foot section, let it sit 15 minutes, soak it again, and then just repeat that process. And in theory, eventually, if it's good, it'll just
So
right
there'll be
down.
days where you get that perfect pull.
yeah. Then
That's got
those
be
are days
a
you
great
make money.
feeling. Yeah, that's got to be a good one.
Those are days you make money, and that's one thing too. When I price my wallpaper for the removal, because you never know what you're going to get,
Yeah.
is I have a standard price, you know, per square foot, and that covers worst case scenario.
Yeah.
You know, so if it doesn't just come right off and it's ripping and I have to skim coat and
Yeah.
prime and bring everything,
Yeah.
you know, guys will argue with me on that a lot because, what if it comes off good? What if it, well, then I tell that homeowner too, then I make money.
Yeah.
If it doesn't come off good, I'm not going to come back to you and be like, I got to charge you more now.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is
Or-
like you would be incentivized almost to, if you were charging less to get it done perfectly, and then when it went bad, you had to come back and upcharge me.
Yeah.
People are always skeptical when you're charging them more, so the weirdo's gonna think like he messed it up, so he can charge me
Yeah,
more. And
or
it's like
like-
so you're almost incentivized to do the tightest job possible because it's a better outcome when it comes off nicely too.
Because they don't care. Either way, the homeowner wants a painted wall
Yeah.
at the end, or
Yeah.
you know, more wallpaper on it, whatever. So they don't really care about the process. like
They
too
just
much
want it
of-
done right.
Yeah. Some people will ask you, "Oh, are you gonna do?" And 9 times out of 10, they don't know. They just heard something sometimes. So, but you have to. For me, I have to know whatever it takes to get it up to par.
So let's just say the best case scenario goes, and we get that nice, sweet, gold member.
I
Pole,
had one
right?
do it.
Yeah.
Recently.
No, it's great.
Yeah.
Now the wall, if it's drywall and it's not damaged too much behind it, is there do you have to do a skim coat before you can paint, or are you pretty much just fixing imperfections and painting over that now?
We'll fix any imperfections from your scraper maybe, or
Yeah.
dings and dents.
Little
You
stuff.
wash the wall to get any of the glue residue off.
That's where we can use the Pretty Boy products again. Sweet.
Definitely. And then you're going to want a guards is the name of the product. So guards will seal the surface and create a watertight barrier. So a lot of times after wallpaper removal, that's what we'll use.
Okay.
And then you could apply your primer and paint on top of that.
Okay.
So that's a lot of times guys that's a way to cut a corner.
Yeah.
Not, you got to seal the wall.
Yeah.
You just start putting paint on that and maybe it reacts different to the glue.
I was gonna say, so what is the sealing? The sealing prevents any weird things from happening with the paint.
Yeah, in
Will
case
it
you
soak
missed
it up
some,
too?
Yeah, it'll soak into the wall and totally cure that porous surface, so it'll lock it in.
Okay.
So,
And there'll be imperfections in the wall. Like it won't look nice and even if we don't seal it.
well, if you don't seal it, maybe your paint won't adhere properly.
Okay.
And there's still like some, so.
So if I was a first time home buyer and I went into I bought grandma's house and it had some old wallpaper that I did not want to keep, and I wanted to peel that wallpaper off. It's a way bigger project than just peeling off wallpaper and painting over it. That's like a 3 wrenches DIY project.
You got to be ready for it.
Yeah, you got to watch hours
Yeah.
of YouTube videos.
'Cause
But that's really one. Like personally, I've told this to it's always young homeowners and they're buying like grandma's house, because we get a lot of these houses that are still original from the 50s and 60s. It's crazy. They got blue bathrooms and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we're just gonna peel the wallpaper off painting. And I knew it was a process. I didn't even know it was that much of a process. And I told them, like, you're not gonna do it. So is there alternatives to the removal? Can we go over it? Can we paint it?
Yep. Yeah, there's definitely. It depends where your budget's at, and a lot of times the tradespeople will get whatever. But as a homeowner, you can definitely paint over it.
Yeah.
You prime it. The same product, guards, will seal that paper and create a non-porous surface.
Okay, so if a homeowner's going to paint over the wallpaper, a very important thing is to go get the paint that's made to go over wallpaper.
Yep.
Is it a primer or is it the paint?
The primer.
Okay, so we get a primer that's made to go over
Yeah,
wallpaper.
you can use an oil-based primer,
Okay.
which depends what state you're in with new regulations and stuff. But
What about here?
New York, you could still get it. Yeah.
Okay.
Or no, you can't. I'm sorry. Nope.
I didn't think you could.
No, only like Stix primer is good for applying over wallpaper.
Why don't they allow it?
Because everything's going eco-friendly.
Is it like a VOC thing or?
Yeah, and a lot of the water-based products are better than these oil-based ones used to be.
Performance-wise.
Yep, and
Oh,
clean
cool.
up. We don't need harsh chemicals.
Yeah.
You don't need paint thinners now, and when these
So you actually prefer to work with the
100%
yeah.
water-based, yeah.
If they're performing, then why does it? Yeah, and it's
Yep.
making your life easier.
I don't gotta, to clean a brush, I don't have to use some harsh chemical. Then what do I do with the chemical?
Yeah.
I gotta store it and bring it to Sherwin-Williams.
Yeah,
and it's
that
a whole
sounds like a
thing,
pain in the butt.
Sometimes you really have to use that good oil-based. Maybe I feel like when you're staining,
I was doing,
Whatever.
sometimes as a DIYer, I wasn't thinking straight, and I wanted to clean my paintbrushes. I don't know why. I used water-based paint. Nobody told me to clean them, and I bought like a paintbrush cleaner in one of those metal cans, and I put it in a red Solo cup in here, and I put the paintbrush in there, and it melted the red Solo cup.
Yeah.
And my cousin, who's a sick finish guy, he's a carpenter, he's a set builder, he's one of the tightest he's the guy who's going to go in somebody's house and be like, this looks so bad.
Point it out.
He came in here because he was helping me do paint. He was like, what the fuck did you just do? I was like, I don't know, bro. I thought it was the right thing to do. He was like,
turpentine in that thing,
It's
right?
water-based paint. What are you doing? Yeah, it was nuts. Yeah,
Just
it was totally
oil bubbling, like
Yeah.
to separate. And
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was a science project going on in here.
Yeah, it's things you learn, especially. But to go back to a lot of times you can replace the walls. Especially with these homes, you go in, there's texture, heavy texture, popcorn ceilings,
Yeah.
wallpaper that may have 2-3 layers on top.
Of wallpaper?
Yeah.
Because then people are just going right over it.
I've done that, gave an estimate for wallpaper removal, and you pull a layer, and you're like, he's like, oh, I forgot to tell you there was 2. And I'm like,
Oh, no.
now this one's already primed so they could do and then that's just a nightmare.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, just take the walls down.
Yeah.
Take your ceiling down. Like,
So you're
old
saying
plaster.
do a full sheetrock removal.
Yeah.
Open the wall up.
Bring it into this century too, because with the textures and everything, you're gonna sand it. You're going to have to skim it. You could just knock it down.
So you're saying even like, a popcorn ceiling, I've seen a lot of cool TikTok videos of like a guy will put a putty knife on a shop vac and it's extremely good to watch. Like I love watching them suck it up, but it's like.
Obviously you're not going to demo a whole house of ceilings just to, you can remove.
But in the scope of it, if there's a lot to remove, and also too, there's other things that go into if you're buying a really old house and, I have first-time home buyers who have some money to spend on the house. They also, it's either a single guy or they don't have they have kids or they're not getting married this summer where like they can live in like a fixer-upper house for a little bit.
Gotcha.
There's also benefits to pulling the sheetrock off anyway because most houses are insulated poorly. It gives them a chance to rewire. So depending on the scope of the project, opening up the walls is a good scenario.
Yeah,
there.
I mean it's going to save you like heating costs.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, there's improvements on that.
Whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Windows and stuff like that.
So there's an added
smell too sometimes. People that have drop ceilings and stuff in businesses, and a lot of times we get called into offices or whatever houses. A lot of times in the basement. But can you paint them? I said, just get new ones.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna. I mean, you don't realize how much scent, let's just say, basement-y smell.
Yeah.
Or smoke gets trapped.
And those drop ceilings are they're sponges.
Yeah. So you just take those out, get fresh ones.
Yeah.
And that's a cheaper alternative sometimes rather than trying to paint them and everything too,
Yeah.
The
wallpaper's always interested me, and I'm seeing it come back a lot more. So I think that it's
probably 80% of my business is putting it up.
Really.
Yep.
That's sick.
Yeah.
I've seen those in like water closets where they'll wallpaper the ceiling. Like they'll do like a cool full thing. They'll do the whole wall in wallpaper.
I just talked the homeowner into doing it in Patchogue. There's a house that I'm doing.
Nice.
And we did the whole powder room, and he's got the tray ceiling in the bathroom. And I said it'd look really cool if you did.
Yeah.
A piece here and a piece here.
In the tray ceiling.
Yep. So that's like, do you recommend things? Sometimes I do because it's like this would look cool, but choosing the colors to get the job, the homeowner should already have those colors picked out. And a lot of times they say, "Oh, can you start?" And I'll give me the day. It's a pain in the neck. As a homeowner, you should have it all set, furniture moved, ready for the guy to show up with the paint. And
you ever get people where they like pick a color and then you put it on and then they hate the color?
Yeah. Yep.
That's gotta suck.
I did. One time we did the sample. The guy, all right, I love that color, a blue color. I went to the local paint store, not the same one. Bought the same color from the same store, different location. Did the room, and he came in and he goes, "Did you buy that can from the same store?" And I was like, "How did he know?" I said, "No." He goes, "That's the wrong color."
Oh.
Just the way the store made, and he's like, "I would like it from that store." And I was like, "Dude, how did some?"
Yeah. That's kind of it's kind of.
I mean, obviously they had to pay for it because it's the right color.
Yeah, you didn't do anything wrong.
I was like, how did that guy's eye was really good, man.
That's impressive.
He's like, did you get the color from the same store you got the sample from?
You didn't think that would ever be, because especially with these stores that are so reputable, like these guys.
You're mixing a color like it's a computer that mixes
exactly.
it.
Yeah, the dye is like
could have been a little
measured.
something left in the tube from the last color or something.
Yeah,
like,
crazy.
People are like, then they learn to live with it maybe. After a day or two, they're like, oh, all right, I like that,
All right, so with wallpaper, we could paint it, we could remove it, we can rip the rock down. Is there anything else that you can really do to rejuvenate old wallpaper? Like, I mean, I don't know, you can't really patch it, right? It wouldn't look right.
No, that's it's because I have it, they get a scratch or something, and you got to take this piece, and once you lay the seams together, you can replace it and stuff, but you're always, like, it's an iffy thing.
Yeah, and most people who want to redo wallpaper, it's probably old wallpaper too.
Wall.
So it's like, and they're going to redo the wall.
Or we take it from wherever the piece is messed up to the wall.
All right, cool. As far as homeowners go, you brought a pretty cool bag of different rollers and brushes. If you go in the paint aisle as a homeowner, there's so many different shapes, sizes, materials. For a DIYer who's going to tackle a nice project, Steve's going to repaint the baby's room, right? Like, what are the go-tos? Like, you brought some brushes, you brought some rollers. What should a homeowner look for that can maybe level their game up a little bit?
Your standard 9-inch roller. That's the standard in America is 9 inches. So they have different nap sizes, and your walls you want to stay at like 3/8 of a nap. You don't want it too heavy or fluffy because then it's going to leave a lot of texture.
Okay.
So that's why I brought the microfiber one.
Nice
and
So a 3/8, and that's a microfiber roller. That's a solid roller.
Yep.
Okay.
That'll leave a nice finish. And they call it no eggshelling or orange peel when you see the bumps and stuff. So that'll lay it nice
smooth,
and flat.
nice and flat.
Yep. And your standard brush is 2.5 inches. That's good for cutting in ceilings and walls, and also good for your trim.
Okay.
It's an angled sash. It's on a curve. So you could get into corners a little.
So the
better
angled
and stuff.
sash And that's your general use, cut in the corners, cut in the trim.
Yep. And then they make also obviously different sizes for littler things, but
Okay.
your standard is 2.5.
2.5. So that's our So if I'm doing a room, I get that 9-inch 3/8 snap roller.
Yep.
I get a brush.
A tray,
Yeah.
your roller tray with a liner. It's always good to have a liner in your tray so you can wash it out, reuse it. You know, and then you need a rolling pole.
Yeah.
You know, so you're not bending over a million times.
Yeah, got a good
dipping or
pole,
something.
and you can reuse that pole forever.
2 to 4. Yeah. Once you have it, I'm sure if you're DIYing, you're going to be doing more projects than just
Drop cloths or the paper?
I like to use paper because there's less of a trip hazard.
Okay. Yeah, the drop cloths get a
You
little
know,
annoying.
yeah, you know, maybe there's children in the home or someone comes walking through. So we always like to, you know, tape down. There's a new product that I use by Trimaco. It's called Stay Put, which is essentially like a carpet that has a tacky back.
Okay.
So when you roll it out, it sticks to the floor.
Nice. Makes it
Then,
much nicer.
then you don't
for
have to tape your edge because a lot of times tape will maybe pull the
stuff
sheen
up.
off. You
Yeah.
know, so,
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so some paper, the brush, the roller, the handle, tape. Using the different tapes. You know, I like to cut in without tape.
Yeah.
But if for a homeowner, using the tape as a safeguard is always, is never a bad idea. Like if they were going to cut in a ceiling, like just throw a line of the tape on there and.
For sure. As a professional painter, I still use tape.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times you need that straight line. Maybe that's the first door jamb you see when you walk in, or when you're in the restroom. That's the main line you're looking at when you sit down or something. So a lot of times tape to get that sharp edge is 100%. You need that. You know, as a painter, professional, you should be able to cut a straight line with a brush with no tape, but if you're going to be doing 3-4 coats, why are you going to kill yourself and try to do it perfect every time when you could just put a piece of tape?
And that's where the quality of the tape comes in.
Oh,
and the
100%.
adhesion of the tape too, because then we got to worry about the surface that
how long you're leaving it on and everything. So a lot of DIYers, you think if you're going to put blue tape on your ceiling, and all right, maybe we do an hour this weekend, then an hour, and it takes you a month or two. When you go to remove that tape, you got to take that in consideration. You want to only leave that tape up for a week or two at most. So get that project done.
The all-purpose 3M blue tape, that one don't leave up for more than a week or two.
Yeah, I'd have to read the,
Of course.
specific,
But general use,
but
you're not leaving that up
I would
for
say no
that
more
long.
than like a month with any tape usually,
Yeah.
But yeah, because maybe different humidity, weather, whatever.
Yeah.
Affects everything. Yep.
All right,
And then that's your standard. Yeah, you need to have a brush, a roller, some tape, and drop cloth and plastic, and a step ladder.
Yeah, and patience.
And abrasives, maybe a sanding sponge.
Yeah.
A lot of times you're patching the picture frame holes from putting your nails in the wall, so you need a little compound. They make little tubs of stuff that's pre-mixed, so you don't have to worry
go
about
crazy,
spackle
and
or
you only need
anything
a little
like that.
bit too.
Yeah.
So they put their first coat on, and they see more imperfections. It's okay to go back and sand after that first coat, or can we not? Like once we do our first coat, should we not be sanding again?
No, it's good to sand in between coats.
Because I feel like you see more when the color goes on, right? You start to see
Yeah, it
more
highlights
imperfections.
any imperfections, or especially if working with sheens. A lot of homeowners will think like matte hides a lot of things. So if you have children and but you also want something that's washable, matte is a good hiding thing, and it's Benjamin Moore makes their Scuff-X.
Oh, nice.
Which is a good durable product that's low sheen, because sometimes you don't want it shiny, but you still need it wipeable. Kids get splatters on stuff, so that's a good option.
Nice.
A lot of times when you put, maybe you're like, oh, I like semi-gloss on the wall or whatever, it shows every imperfection.
Okay.
So
the
small-
shinier, the more imperfections we'll see.
Yep. Yeah.
Matte is a little bit more everyday proof,
Yeah,
especially when we have the
forgiving.
kids.
Definitely.
So yeah, matte and okay. All right, cool.
Yeah, and then flat paint on your ceilings and stuff. So.
Yeah, the typical stuff. So, all right, any other tips that we can give to a homeowner, or if there was something you wish that any homeowner could get out of this episode?
I would say use your phone or use the internet
Nice.
to do some Googling and some researching about who's in your area. Ask your friends. If you're going to be hiring a contractor, plumber, electrician, painter, wallpaper guy, do your research. Figure out and educate yourself on maybe what's involved. So when you see these prices, you're not blown away, and maybe a little of the difference why stuff is costing the way it is.
I think that's great advice, man. That's applicable to anything in construction and hiring somebody to do something. So
Or
I
if
love
I'm
that.
gonna, I'm on the other end. If I'm gonna go to, something I have no idea about, I'm gonna want to do some research too.
myself,
So
make yourself a little smart, a little more
Yeah.
knowledgeable.
So
That's
when
what we're
you
here for,
see-
man. That's what we're here to do.
and
To educate the
Instagram,
people.
podcasts. There's so many videos out there of how to and what stuff should look like by professionals.
True.
where you should be able to be like the guy rolling in with one drop cloth and a cigarette, and you're like,
He's showing up at 11:30 and then he's taking a beer break at 1. Yeah,
exactly.
We don't like that guy.
Yep.
All right, great, man. I think
Cool.
I think we got a lot of good info. I'm sure we can go on for a long time, but we're going to wrap up in a sec. So
Thanks for having me.
take a minute and drop your handle.
All right. What's up? Carlson Paint and Paper on the Instagrams. This year I have August 2nd as my 5th annual Paint and Paper Goes Fishing. So last year we had 60 contractors aboard, and all proceeds go back to charity, and to the boat as a tip. So we donate to Branches of Long Island. It's a local nonprofit. It's a food bank.
Awesome.
And growing up, we always had some maybe hard times and stuff like that. So I could really hits home when I give back to those types of places and stuff. And my girlfriend, Genesis, she does a lot of work with them.
Nice.
And so it's good to give back. That's my whole thing, is we do a lot of give backs. And some of the jobs that I do, we do for pro bono. Just because everybody has a story.
Damn.
And it tugs on your heartstrings sometimes.
I love that you have a charity that you're in on. That's awesome. That's really great.
Yeah,
I love that.
2 years we went and I handed out one turkey, but
Nice,
I was in the line of everybody that did it this year, and we helped them carry the bags and the Boy Scouts and everybody, and it's our community and the people. There's a lot of people that need help in our own community, and it feels good to give back.
Yeah, man. If we just started taking care of 1 or 2 other people, if everybody did a little bit, it'd go a long way.
It doesn't take much. A lot of times, just ask someone how they're doing.
Yeah, love it, dude. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Thanks
you coming
for having
on.
me.
It was a pleasure, brother.
Appreciate it.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, stay knowledgeable.